Hi, guys.
Hey Andrew, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Andrews, I'm in the room with you.
We can't complain. I think Simu's got a drink ready to go. We're having a good time. It's 10:30 in the morning, but it's actually just really nice to see Simu again. I saw the guy like 15 days straight, in a row at one point, and then you just get cut off, And so it's
I
nice
got the
to see him again.
condensed Kim's Convenience experience because because of COVID, all of our schedules shifted, and I don't know if you know, but I was in Sydney shooting a film, and then so basically they started without me, and then by the time I flew back, I had to play catch up on all the scenes that I didn't shoot before, and I did. I feel like I saw you, Andrew, every single day for like 15 days, and it was so amazing. It was like the perfect kind of homecoming welcome back to Canada, back to Kim's. It was just so, seeing not only like the cast, but so many of our crew we've had since the very, very first season. So in so many ways, it just felt like just an incredible homecoming, familiar, and we honestly, I think we it didn't feel like we lost any sort of time. We just kind of went right into it, hit the ground running, and made a great season.
And that's what I love. I do feel like even just watching the show, I've seen the first episode, and it always feels like you guys are just one big family. And it's one of the most positive shows I think I've seen, in ages. Uh,
Mhm.
do you guys like what is it like coming back for a new season, especially now that you guys have done so many seasons?
I think this season was different. Like it's always been great coming back, but this season was different because it'd been over a year since we'd been together, all of us. And I took a photo of all six of us last year, and Simu had just been announced as a new Marvel superhero. He's getting his own franchise, and it had been a whole year, and we had these conversations via Zoom, and we had text message with each other. But like when we were together, it was really special because we've started this journey together. We've
Mhm.
all gone in our different directions throughout the years, and we're doing different things. But when we come back, it's the same. It's the same. We're still the same people with the same love for one another. I just think this season was so special because of that. Because we had been away for so long, and in a time where we can't see our families, it's heartbreaking. We were able to see our TV family and in our life family as well. So it was just really special that way.
Mhm.
I love too that between the previous episode and this episode, time has passed, but it really doesn't feel different, which is amazing because so many shows between seasons, it actually does, you can feel the shift. Uh, but yeah, so what are these guys up to this season? What can you tell me?
Well, okay, let's see. Where did we leave off on season four? There's a little bit of a roommate mix-up. So Jung at one point just finds himself homeless, and so it lends itself really nicely to the beginning of season five, where he actually just decides to go away to California for a little bit and kind of cut his chops in business class. He's you see him trying to better himself, but then the larger question is like, how does he interact with the rest of the cast remotely, and how does he continue his relationship while not physically being with Shannon, and then yeah, dealing with some maybe a slightly more serious things as well. And I think while I think our producers and all of us will agree that we've seen enough COVID, you're not going to see COVID on the show. You're not going to see masks. Even though we did observe just very, very stringent protocols when we were shooting, but there is something that kind of happens in the world that is a little bit more serious in nature, and I think you're going to see the whole family kind of reacting to that, and kind of coming together in much the same way that we had to come together because of COVID, just to as actors and as coworkers and as family.
Yeah, I think the jump between season 4 and 5 probably had the most cliffhangers of any season, and it's nice because we kind of addressed all of them within the first few episodes, and it carries on throughout the season. Um, but we'll get asked a lot of the COVID questions, and I think at the end of the day, like some shows have jumped right into having COVID part of the storyline. I think for our show and our writers, a lot of people, our fans watch the show as a getaway, you know. And so with the show dropping, we're still in this pandemic. I think we approached it with the sense that we have to remember this show is a getaway. It's a happy space. So we want to continue telling these stories, and focus more on the characters, the narrative that we've created. So I think it was a choice made on the producers and the writers to kind of stay away from that COVID side of things.
I think ultimately it's definitely the right choice too. For sure.
I was just going to say that for me, like, it feels amazing to step into the show and not feel weighted down by maybe the reality that a lot of shows have actually adopted. And it's refreshing to think of times when maybe we won't have to deal with this.
Yeah. Also, the first episode is jarring because it's snowing outside right now. I don't know where you are, but you see summer. You see like a warm weather, windows rolled down, and I'm like, oh yeah, window rolled down. I love that right now.
What episodes are some of your favorites for the season? Yeah, you don't need to give anything away, but I'm just curious if there's something that in particular stood out for the season for you guys.
I think for me it was definitely kind of dealing with the Jung Shannon dynamic. And yeah, without kind of spoiling too much. I mean, we've seen, you know, in season 4 we saw Jung and Shannon finally getting together, and you know, obviously that had been something that hopefully the fans have been waiting for a while. And I like to think that in season 5 you really get a chance to see the two of them together and all their quirks and awkwardness and you know, just kind of finding their way as a couple. And you know, I think we end in a really interesting place for the two of them this season, and kind of begs the question of what'll come next. So yes, I think there were a lot of really great cliffhangers at the end of season 4, but I think there's a lot of hanging off of a cliff going on in season 5 as well.
I would say I got a high school reunion episode, which was it's been shared in the press release, but like that's exciting. Like that's just as a character, like to get something like that. That's a really fun setup. And then I love towards the end of the season, it's been an evolution of Kimchi, of him dealing with the lack of father in his life, and Appa often being the pseudo father, you know, the replacement father he looks up to in his life. I think we get to see a bit more of that, and Kimchi dealing with the emotions of not having a dad, and that was such a joy to jump into and to discover and to feel. And I think that's why this season, like, because of the world we were in, the writers have to really focus in on the main characters we had, and that was the best, just to be able to like flush out our characters a bit more. But I know working with Simu, there's one storyline in particular I love. Like, I know whenever Simu and I get together, we do a Shang-Chi scene. We're high-fiving, like we're there. It's the best. Like, I know that was day one. We found it right away. But I also love when we go the other way, where there's friction in this friendship. Mm-hmm. Because I think that is so reflective of like real friends. Your friends or your best friends, but they're also like, in a way, the ones that call you out on your BS. And I just love when him and I can go at it with each other. And then when they yell cut, we look and we're like, oh my God, what are we doing? We're just like, it's an experience jumping into it. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely feel the same way. I mean, you were talking about the whole, you know, Appa being a kind of like a surrogate father to Kimchi. I mean, we can't imagine how Jung might feel about something like that. So that was definitely like I remember that was a really fun episode to play. And I think you and Andrew, you and I are probably thinking about the same scene where we were just like, oh, that's real.
I'm curious, how much of your real relationship do you think seeps into this? Because obviously after this number of seasons, you've grown to know each other. Is there any real life, like what exists between you guys really in the show, or is it really just the characters?
Is there any real life budding between us in the show? You're trying to get like gossip scoop?
No, I meant the good side, the real life camaraderie. How much that seeps into the characters, I guess.
I think tremendously. I don't think you can fake that kind of chemistry, and And it's something that I knew kind of from the first time, because Andrew, I was already cast when Andrew was auditioning, and we had run through a bunch of like potential kimchis, and it was just like from that moment I knew that we were gonna have very strong on-screen chemistry together. And it's not just because we're actors, not just because Andrew's a fantastic actor, which he is, but it's also just because I knew that he was the guy that I would be able to talk to about basketball, and I would be the guy that he could talk to about sneakers, and I would pretend like I knew what he was talking about really well. And no, and over years and years. I mean, we're in our fifth year now. We're going into a sixth, God willing. But it's just it really does become a family relationship, and yeah, family has, it's not all rosy with family. Like, you're not always like, oh, everything is great. And obviously, I think the best families have moments where you want to tear each other's heads off, or you have these little fun squabbles. But at the end of the day, I mean just the love that we've built for Jung and Kimchi, and the love that's shared throughout the rest of the cast is something that is very real, very, very real, and I think is a big part of why the show is as successful as it is.
The amount of times Simu and I have talked, had a heart-to-heart, had a maybe disagreement, had real talk, the amount of times we've stopped afterwards and been like, whoa, did we just do a Shang-Chi scene? Is incredible. The amount of times we felt that way. And I think that's just the bond we've had. Like, we're tight, we're bros, we support each other. We also butt heads, we call each other out, but like, we're always there for each other. And I think that's the best thing. And stepping onto set, I remember stepping on a set first day. I hadn't seen the guy in over a year, aside from Zoom and text message. I remember we were rehearsing this first scene, and we found this comedic bit, and it's like, I looked at him and I'm like, it's always gonna be there. And I love that about this relationship, and I think we're going to see more and more of that as we go throughout the season. But I just love that so much.
I'm very curious where you see these guys in the future. Where would you like to see them in the future? Is there something you'd hope to either be able to film, or something that at least is in your imagination of where they end up?
Oh, Simu, you got some plans, man. We're seeing Jung trying to fly high soon.
That's a really good. Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, because Jung and Kimchi have never been managers at the same time, and I think trying to figure out how the two of them would co-manage a handy, it would just be the funniest thing. I think that there's an episode where we kind of make fun of each, Jung and Kimchi's like parenting style that they kind of inherit from their parental figures, and we can see that they're very, very different. So I think that translates into managerial style as well. And I really do wonder how the two of them would A, deal with each other, and then B, deal with their ragtag group of handy folks when like they're the ones in charge.
I think at the end of the day, like with Jung, like I'm such a fan of the show. When I see that character, I know this season we're opening with him at business school. I think that's like a gateway into an evolution of the character that has been constantly trying to discover himself. Like, on the outside, we see this handsome, jacked, ripped, beautiful man. But on the inside, it's someone who's very fragile, someone who has constantly doubted himself, has constantly been scared of relationships, has run away from things aside from his best friend. And I think that this season, and hopefully as we move on into future seasons, we're going to see that grow. And I think it's so important, because I think that's such an underrated thing of Jung's character. That like, we see it on Twitter. It's like, oh man, Simu Liu is beautiful, Jung's handsome. But I'm like, but behind that is someone so deep. And I use the word fragile because, like, we're just finally seeing him come into his own. And then on Kimchi's side of things, dealing with his father, having a girlfriend live with him, like, this guy who in season 1 and 2 wanted nothing to do with responsibility, and now he wants to be the manager. He wants higher aspirations. I think it's really reflective of like how a lot of 25-year-olds transition into life. So we're going to see that growth that really reflects a lot of people's growth. But yeah, I think we're just seeing a bit more of the people we have created. And for so long, we were the representation. And now we are the people. These are the characters that relate to everyone that watches the show.
That's awesome. Well, thank you very much. Just quickly to say, I can't wait to see how Shang-Chi turns out and maybe the impact that will have on the show, if that lifts how far and wide the show is seen as well. But thank you very much.
Definitely.
Oh, it's already happened. People are watching the show that only heard about Simu being casted. Like, whoa, this guy's being casted. I got to follow his work. I know for us in the cast, watching him fly high this whole year has been incredible. But then when Simu rolled into set, it was just him again. It wasn't Marvel superhero. It wasn't guy who's international star now. It was our boy, our brother, our son, same guy. And it was just a joy to have him back in the family this year.
No, man. I mean, look. Sorry, Andrew, journalist Andrew is just getting caught in the middle of this. But look, I'm the youngest member on the main cast, and I spent every season looking up to all of these guys, and still very much do. And if you've had the pleasure of interviewing any of them over the years, you'll know what I'm talking about. I mean, everyone is just so, talent aside, I think they're just such incredible human beings, and I think I would certainly not have been able to capitalize on the opportunity of becoming a Marvel superhero were it not for the opportunity of being on Kim's, and also the opportunity to work with all of these people. I mean, it's definitely challenged me to grow, and in a lot of ways too. Like my journey kind of mirrors Jung's, and it's kind of like Andrew said, like. I think for the longest time I felt like I just had something to prove, or I was just very, very unsure of myself, and in a period of self-discovery, especially, you got your first big gig, and all of a sudden you're on a network TV show, and there's so much uncertainty, and everything is new and fresh, and it's just, year after year having these guys be a rock, and then also just developing our chemistry together, or developing our skills together has been just such a fulfilling thing. So yeah.
I love you, buddy. I miss you, man.
Miss you too.
Come over to my house and stand outside so I can wave at you through the window. I miss you.
Thank you guys very much. It really is a pleasure to chat with you.